So, Arch, what's it like to have a face reveal?
I don't know what I expected, but this was probably not it.
Well, that's kind of what I felt meeting you. Don't know what I expected, but this was... You look so Scandinavian, though.
Well, I am Scandinavian, so
Well,
I'm happy to hear that.
So what you're saying is you're not very diverse?
No, I do believe I have precisely 0% diverse blood in me.
That's disgraceful.
It
How do you
is.
live with yourself? Have you
don't
considered that you're a fucking white male?
The thought has struck me.
Seriously, I was watching Cat Black. She's got an alternate channel where it's called Cat Black Rides, and she literally does like 8-hour live streams where she's just ranting and raving and being a stereotypical black person. Like she sounds like Gazi Codes. She's like, girl, meh, 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 meh. It's insufferable. But I was watching it yesterday just to see if she would say anything interesting, and she literally said, "Look, I'm diverse," and it's like, you mean you're black? Or you mean you're not white? You know, you're not white, you're not straight, you're not cis. That's what you mean. It's not that you. I mean, how can one person be diverse?
Well,
You know, you can't be a plurality of things, Kat.
I'm actually struggling to answer that. How would you be diverse? What, would she go on to list like I'm 6% Cherokee or?
I don't think she is. But I think that she's referring specifically to the fact that she's black. And she's got that as I'm diverse because of black. And
So
trans.
basically what she's saying is that she is the pure Reich.
Basically, yeah, she was literally saying, don't complain to me because I'm interesting and unusual. It's like you're not really very interesting or unusual. I mean, at VidCon, all of these panels were like, it was carbon copy, and then you'd have like a little white guy sat at the end going, yeah, I don't like white people. Basically, it's okay.
Good stance to have, yes.
Yes, it's like so unbelievably traditional. It's cringy, and so yeah, none of these look any good, do they?
Well, good. That's an interesting question. Gamer stereotypes, that's a thing.
I mean, that should be quite entertaining, actually.
LGBTQ no plus. That's unfortunate, but
It's fucking exclusionary. It's disgraceful.
and creative for change. I'm looking forward to seeing the change at least. What is the change?
Yeah, I mean, one thing I find interesting, lots of you've got Miles Dyer, who is the only Western-sounding name, and Taha and Nadia Nadi. So I wonder what that change is going to be. It's going to be pretty interesting. I just love the way they're just like, for change. What change? Well, I think change. Bad change is as good as good change, isn't it?
Well, as the Lord of Change himself once said, Siege, change for change's sake.
That's literally what they want. Someone was commenting the other day on the live stream the other day that they want to hear you rebutting feminist arguments with nothing but 40k quotes. Could you do it?
Some maybe. I'm thinking Siege would probably have a good time.
So she's probably got some good. Sure.
Probably, yeah.
I think really they're expecting them from the Emperor or the Emperor's chosen men. Let's talk about heresy.
I'd probably have to get a list and read them to prepare because there's just so fucking much. It's like just from 40k. Okay, are we talking modern 40k, 30k, the new divided universe? Are we talking the Horus Heresy series, etc.?
Well, I don't think it matters.
How far do we stretch?
I don't think it would matter. I think as long as it was a direct rebuttal of what the feminists were saying, presumably in some way that basically led to an exterminatus, it would be fine.
Well, offhand, maybe. I don't know. I would have to see the questions, to be honest.
So let's talk Creative Assembly. So we were talking about this as we came in. I think it's an interesting subject. I really am. Let's move this a bit closer because I'm worried that we're not being picked up or something. Right, yeah, so Creative Assembly won't talk to you, will they?
No, this is unconfirmed, just so I get that out there. I do not know this for sure, but I have spoken to a person who claims to work for CA that says I am on some sort of blacklist.
Oh.
Now, again, I do not know if that's true. This is just literally a person sent me an email and said, I work here. I have not checked it. I'm not going to reveal his name, obviously. So, I mean, I don't know, but the thing is, they used to talk to me, and then they just kind of stopped.
Really? Right. Okay. That does make it sound like you are on a blacklist.
It fits.
Yes, it does. It's a real shame as well because, I mean, I've as I was saying earlier, like I'm really frustrated with Creative Assembly games, and you point this out. They're chasing the mythical wider audience.
Yes, which just doesn't exist.
I agree. I think that they don't seem to understand the recipe for their own success. It's really annoying, and like the 5-minute battles in Rome 2, the most infuriating things in the world. When I was going into a battle, I liked to know that I was sitting down to a set piece. This was something that was going to change the course of the game for me, and I wanted it to feel important. I didn't want my enemies to just run away in the first 5 minutes, or my own guys if I was losing. And one thing I noticed that I watched, I can't remember if it was like a documentary or a YouTube video about it or whatever, but it was someone from Creative Assembly saying, well, we looked at the fact that, how players played the game, and they also combated 87% of the battles. Yeah. So we got the impression they didn't want to play the battles, and I was just there tearing my hair out going, why can't you just talk to the people who play the fucking game?
Exactly. Like, if you auto-resolve, you pretty much only do so when you have no one to do, otherwise you're not going to risk it.
Yeah, there's no point. It's a waste of your time. You go and they've got like 500 men, you've got 2,000 men, fuck them. You've got like a tiny sliver of, the risk of you losing. And then you've lost 40 men. You probably couldn't have done better if you'd fought it anyway.
Yeah, and at that point, you've already done the work. You've beaten the enemy army on the campaign map. Mm-hmm. And therefore you just auto-resolve. That doesn't mean we don't want to play the fucking battles.
No, if anything, one thing that really annoys me is why do they never surrender? This pisses me off. Okay, you've got like 300 men, and you've been, you're wandering along, and you've been caught by a giant army. Oh, are we going to fight? No, we're just going to surrender. There's no point. In a city, there's literally one unit guarding the city. A huge army turns up to siege there. Why can't I force them to capitulate?
I think it was a mechanic in. I think it was an Empire. It might have introduced it in Napoleon.
Right. Okay.
Where when you were sieging a city, you could, as the time dictated, you could offer them to surrender. They never fucking did. Unless you had absolutely a devastating superiority. We're talking like 99% bar.
Yeah.
But at least it was an option.
Well, I guess, but you should be able to offer them terms. Say, look, we will let you leave and give you safe passage to the nearest friendly city or something.
And there should be choices like complete amnesty. You may leave. Yeah. Better chance of them surrendering. Yeah. We will demand you throw down your weapons, but you will leave, etc. Mm-hmm. Even all the way up to the point where the officers are required to take an oath not to fight against you, and then the enemy would take a economic hit, for example, just a manpower hit.
Exactly. It could be anything, and these things were all things that historically happened as well, And you should even have the option of betraying them. And so when they come out of the city, you execute them anyway. That happened. People did that. So, I don't know why Creative Assembly doesn't make it more interesting from a historical point of view, rather than just trying to gamify the whole thing. And this is the thing that really annoys me. This is why I really didn't like Warhammer Total War. I felt like I was playing a video game. Yeah. I felt like I was playing an arcade game, and that took me out of it completely. And that was one of my concerns about Rome 2 as well, but it wasn't as pronounced in Rome 2. It became really pronounced in
Warhammer was a safe bet project. They had really overstretched on Rome 2, which was a massively ambitious project. Mm-hmm. Didn't succeed, but it was very ambitious. And so...
Well, before you say it didn't succeed, was it a financial success?
I don't know. I don't think they've released the numbers.
Because it probably sold.
Oh yeah, it's all on the name alone.
Exactly, yeah.
And the fact that they cut off Sparta, Athens, and Epirus in a pre-order DLC.
I pre-ordered to get them.
Exactly. Like everyone else.
I cucked for them. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, even though I knew that hackers and, some modders would be able to just put them in afterwards, I cucked anyway because I wanted them. And that was the last Creative Assembly game I pre-ordered. I didn't pre-order Warhammer because I was just like...
They burnt themselves bad on this because Warhammer, this is the first fantasy Total War. Mm-hmm. And Warhammer, it should sound like crazy. And yet it languished at like the 11th, 12th place on Steam chart for all the way up until release. And yet now you look at Total War 2. People told me then, you're just being pessimistic, it'll bounce up. No, this is normal. Total War Warhammer 2, right now. Fucking page 1 of Steam since its goddamn pre-order release. And that is normal.
Yeah.
It undoubtedly did.
It's impossible to believe that you could combine the two franchises and not come out with a winner as well. You know, just like you know, I mean, I've been playing Warhammer for a long time. Not so much recently, obviously, but like, you know, since I was a kid, when I was 12, 13, I was playing Warhammer. And then when the first Rome came out, I was playing that religiously with my friends. You know, it's been a dream to combine the two, and then when they came together, I was just like, well, this is shit.
Again, like you mentioned, because they're simplifying it, because again, they're chasing the wider audience. They're saying to themselves, oh, people don't play their game because they're too difficult. CA? No. That's not it.
That's why they're playing. That's why you have such a dedicated fan base.
Total War games are not particularly difficult. They're not particularly complicated. They used to be relatively complicated, but no longer. And yet, the audience hasn't grown that much. It's still mostly just Total War people. Okay. A strategy gaming will probably never be mainstream in all your likelihood.
Total War, they're like Roman Total War, Medieval Total War, were as mainstream as strategy games were ever.
As close as it can be.
That's because they were brilliant. Yes, they were absolutely brilliant games. They gave you the feeling of being a general on a battlefield. It was the first time you ever really had that. You know, and it was groundbreaking. You know, I don't know why there aren't more companies making games like that and just like picking up where Creative Assembly and dropping the ball. You know.
But again, the fact is, Rome was a relatively complex game. It had the whole economic parts, which have been removed. It had the Senate, which was a bit simplified, but it was there. And the gameplay was solid, interesting, and one of the best strategy games I've made.
Oh yeah.
And now they've been scaling back on everything again, wanting to get that wider audience. Like, you didn't play that much Total War 1, but the siege battles in Warhammer Total War 1, worst siege battle in the series. I would honestly compare them to Shogun fucking 1.
The fact that it was, here's a wall.
Yes.
Here's one side of the city. Have fun. It's like, no. You know, just, why would you reduce yourself like that?
And the reasoning for that was to simplify the game. And to begin with, I was thinking, okay, if this makes the AI more competent, I might be willing to accept the sacrifice. But it didn't. It just still fucking runs at the wall and pulls ladders right out of their cavernous fucking anuses, slams them up against the walls and shoots up.
Again, that was another thing that really annoyed me. It's like in Rome, they carry the ladders from the beginning. They can put them down, pick them up, and put them against the walls. I mean, it was like I was actually watching a battle being fought. You know, that was it. It's the small touches like that bring you into it.
Yeah.
You know, and when you had to like struggle, oh god, you know, the unit carrying the ladders had died, they've routed. Okay, now I need to get someone else to go and pick up the ladders. It gave you missions in the mission, you know, to achieve your goal. You had to do something yourself. It was a feeling of agency.
And as the defender, you could do counter moves.
Yeah.
You could tell the archers to use fire arrows, and there was a small chance that they might set the tower on fire. It usually didn't happen, but occasionally it did.
Yeah.
But the sacrifice is, if you use fire arrows on the tower, you're not pelting the fuckers on the ground.
Yeah.
In Total War, there's no such thing as fire arrows.
Oh, is there not?
No.
Oh.
I do believe the
I haven't played it enough
towers
to know.
can knock them out. That's the only way. And it's, at that point, it's just like, okay, you basically removed siege battles in their entirety. Like,
I mean, the thing is, I remember, I'm sure it's the same interview I was watching, where they were saying that they wanted to reduce the number of siege battles and have it more field battles. And it's like, okay, well, for a start, most battles in the ancient world were siege battles. Having an open field battle is an incredibly risky prospect.
Yeah.
You know, for both sides, because you don't know you're going to win, and if you lose, you can lose everything. You know, so you know it's really dicey, and so it was a rarity. You know, it didn't usually happen, and it took a hell of a lot to get a huge army in the field to face another huge army. And if the other army just didn't want to engage, you had no way of making them engage. You know, they could just leave.
Yeah, that's the important thing too. If one army wanted to engage in a field battle, it almost certainly had a considerable advantage on the opponents, or were desperate. Either way, the opposing army would want to avoid battle.
Yeah, especially given the battlefield is probably chosen by the instigator. You know, so it's like, well, obviously they want to fight there. Well, I don't want to fight there, therefore, you know, I'm going to go somewhere else. I'm going to make another move. But the thing that annoys me about it, so okay, let's say that is your goal. You want to make sieges less common and field battles more common. You can't do that by, and that didn't work in Rome 2 anyway. You know, it was just like, well, remove the walls on some of the cities. So yeah, but that doesn't make it not a siege battle.
Yeah.
It doesn't make it a field battle. It just means that I'm easily taking this town. What you need to do is expand the distance between settlements. That's the only way to do it. So I have to spend like 3 or 4 turns walking to someone else's settlement, and then in the meantime they see me coming and they can move out to meet me. That's the only way you're going to do it.
Yeah, instead they went the other way around. First they removed the walls on the small villages, again to try and get it not be a siege battle.
Yeah.
And then in Warhammer, they just fucking removed the villages altogether. It's like, okay. That's... Well, you removed siege battles, I suppose.
Yeah, and one of the things in Warhammer that annoyed me is like certain races being able to hold certain towns and not being able to hold others. And it's,
Yeah, like, okay. As someone who knows a tiny bit about Warhammer,
yeah.
in some cases I can see the argument.
Right.
For example, there is no precedent, of the humans holding a dwarf settlement for an extended period of time. That doesn't mean they wouldn't want to.
Yeah.
It's a fucking heavily defended dwarven Karak. It's filled with precious minerals and mines. Of course they'd occupy it if they took it.
Yeah. Well, this is a dwarf thing. We don't want to touch this icky dwarf mine.
It's
don't worry about all the gold
appropriation.
and the gems. Exactly. Yeah, it just drives me crazy, and it's like...
I don't mean from a game point. It's like, okay, you want to limit what I can do in a strategy game. Why?
Yeah, I just don't get it. It just drives me crazy. And, like, I just want them to go to any other era as well. You know, I don't do Rome 3. Don't do Rome 3. I'm sick of Rome. If I want to play a Rome game, I'll play Rome 1, thank you very much. I'll play Medieval with a Rome mod, that reconfigures the entire world to be Rome. In my opinion, Medieval 2 is where the total franchise peaked. None of the games past that have impressed me like Medieval 2.
Yeah.
And I don't even care about the graphics. I just don't care. I care about the gameplay. But yeah, like there are loads of other time periods in history that you could go for. Just do something other than Rome. And I mean, I didn't mind the Napoleonic Total War sort of the Empire Total War era.
Yeah.
It wasn't really my forte, but I didn't mind it. And at least they were trying something new.
Yeah, and for me, at least, like the Napoleonic era, Empire era, there's just no games covering it.
No.
It's like, for me, it was just, okay, something new and cool. It didn't really
exactly.
work, but...
Yeah, I didn't really enjoy it, but like, it wasn't the concept, But like I was saying earlier, come on, Assyria Total War. Come on, that would be the tits. Because you can do so much with the sort of the mindset of the people was really different as well, and you can put emphasis on all of that. You could do such a good job, but they're not going to. It's going to be
probably not. It's too niche, I guess. It's not. It doesn't have that wide appeal.
The thing is, they forget that you give things wide appeal by making them good,
making them look cool,
and making them look. I mean, like I was saying earlier, like you could have just a teaser trailer of an Assyrian army. And the Assyrians had enormous armies, hundreds of thousands of men strong for the time period. That was incredible. But they also had like really advanced siege warfare, and so you could just literally just have the Assyrian army approaching a city with the king of Assyria sat on this giant golden throne watching it happen. And it's like, okay, just to get to that point, you can imagine the complexity of the society that have to lead up to that, and you've got famous empires as well. You've got like the Egyptians and the Persians, and all these people still existed in these time periods. It's just before the Greeks. I mean, the Greeks existed in this time period as well. Yeah. They were just a complete non-entity at the time, and the Romans in the time period would probably think they probably didn't. But that's fine, it's the sort of the splendour of the East that's really at its peak at this point. Do that. What's wrong with it? You can have India on the other side, you can have lots of interesting stuff, but it's just like, no, we're going to do Rome too.
Yeah.
Whatever.
I'm interested in the upcoming one, because this might be the usual PR bullshit, obviously, but they're saying like this is the biggest thing they've ever done. It might be PR bullshit, I agree.
I think that's going to be PR bullshit.
Fuck, I would so love.
Well, what's the information on the new one?
Very little, as non-existent practically. Talking about the next proper one now. They're also working on a couple of mini-series, which, okay, fine.
Maybe.
But I would love a world-spanning Total War game. Being able to have, like, Japan way over there, India, Europe, and then work that through the ages. I can't they would, because they'd have to start going a little bit creative then.
The problem is the level of detail. Because I mean, Europe's not a very big place, but it had lots of sovereign factions. And so you compare that to someone like Asia, where it's a huge place and has comparatively few sovereign factions, because each faction can rule over a huge territory. So I can understand why they wouldn't do that. But literally, what information do we have on this new?
Nothing, pretty much.
Time period?
Not really. The only thing we know is that it's not the time period they have done before, is what they're saying.
Well, that's exciting.
So it either means we are going before Rome, or it means we are going after Napoleon, essentially. It might potentially be Pike and Shot, is my personal idea.
Yeah, I think it's Pike and Shot.
The problem with Pike and Shot is, okay, a lot of people underestimate the Pike and Shot era, thinking it's just Pikeman and the end. It wasn't that complicated. It was ridiculously complicated.
Yeah. So yeah, go on. What else was there?
I fucking love Pike and Shot.
Yeah, I mean, you've got highly developed heavy cavalry. You've still got regular infantry. It's not like guns were as developed as they were now, like they were later.
Oh yeah, no. To begin with, you're looking at arquebuses.
Yeah, literally just like fire and forget sort of things.
Yeah,
pray and So yeah, it's okay. What's the deal with the Spanish terciaries? Why did they have the pikemen on the inside and the arquebuses on the outside?
Well, the idea was for this unit to be able to do both things. So the pikeman was on the outside, so as to have free fields of fire. They'd be able to shoot. They'd also be able to shoot in all directions. The Tarico was often with 4 blocks of arquebuses around a central unit of pikemen.
Yeah.
This was to prevent cavalry charges, because at that time we were just leaving the era of truly powerful cavalry. So the idea was, if cavalry comes in, they could withdraw behind the pikes, and the pikes would move up to meet them again. This was also then countered by the so-called Keil, which was, for example, the famous Landsknecht Keil in Germany, which was just this huge block of people with heavy weapons, two-handed swords, halberds, pikes, that would just hammer into the enemy. And the idea was that the arquebuses would be able to spread out and disperse that formation. They'd shoot at them, they'd make people hesitate, they'd spread out. And the moment you start spreading out in a pike block, you lose all of that heavy momentum. And then the Tarico's pikes would then smash right through the middle and break them apart.
Okay, that's interesting. I'd always wondered, but I'd never spent the time to look into it.
And the Tarico is just one of many. There's the early Taricos, there's the late Taricos, there's even the Swedish integrated light guns into the formations themselves.
Right, okay.
And of course there's the more mixed formations you saw in the English Civil War, where the arquebuses and the pikemen were both in the unit.
Just rank of pikemen, rank of arquebuses, rank of pikemen.
Yeah. And the cavalry tactics too. You have the Duke of Marlborough. He kind of revolutionized the whole thing, because the idea was the cavalry would ride up to the enemy. Instead of beating them with the swords, they would fire their pistols and ride away. And they'd keep doing this, because that would save on the cavalry. And it was
less of your people will die, more of their people will die.
Yes.
Because you don't even have to engage them properly.
Yeah. And this tactic was completely shattered when somebody figured out, well, why the fuck don't we just ride them down there? If they're going to turn around, fucking just hammer into them with swords.
Yeah.
And that changed cavalry tactic completely again. And that's the beautiful thing about Pike and Shot. It evolved so fast. The Swedish, God fuck the Swedish, by the way. But they were amazing during this era. Yeah. I mean, Sweden, fucking tiny ass country. They took on Russia and won for a while before Peter the Great revolutionized the Russian army.
Yeah. I love the Russians. God love them. So, I mean, the quantity has a quality all of its own. It has really been the Russian ethos from the word go, hasn't it? It's like, you do have lots of men. You could make them more effective. But we've got lots of men and we don't care about
it. Russia.
Yeah.
That's the quantity quality in and of itself. Like what we saw with, and this is the thing I fucking hate about World War II, but you have pretend historians saying that, oh, why didn't Hitler just push on Moscow? So fucking what? He took Moscow. And Napoleon took Moscow.
Yeah. The Poles took Moscow. You know, this is the thing people don't remember is that the Poles had a massive empire in this sort of era, and they had the best cavalry probably in the world. You know, the most terrifying cavalry. I mean, if you look at the, I love the hussars. They're just the ballsiest men on earth.
Oh yeah.
And like one of the Roman generals, I think it was Mummius, said that the Macedonian phalanx was the most terrifying thing he'd ever seen. It's just 18-foot pikes wedged together in the tightest formation, marching constantly forward. And this is nothing that annoyed me in Rome as well. It's like everyone, you couldn't help but use your pikes in a stationary manner. You line them up because they were slow, they were unwieldy.
Yeah.
And what there should have been is an automatic forward push on the pikes.
Yeah,
because they were a highly offensive unit.
Yeah, the
and people
AI
don't realize.
can't do it.
Yeah.
And the souls of the pikes in fucking Rome. Oh,
I know.
Like 3 ranks of pikes.
Oh, in Rome 2?
Yeah.
Yeah. In Rome 1 they were fine. It was a good-looking pike rank, But in Rome 2, really disappointing. But like, the people, they don't understand that like they're moving forward constantly, pushing and stabbing, and this is, it was a highly aggressive formation.
Oh,
It was just slow, but like a ponderous rolling forward. Well, imagine that on horseback, and imagine that going at like 30 miles an hour, and then you have the winged hussars. It's no wonder they would just break ranks of infantry like that.
And they use psychology. That's the thing. Those wings, they won't feel like, what the fuck is whistled in the wind?
Yeah, and you've got like at least 5,000 of these guys creating this like banshee noise.
Yeah, as they come screaming towards you.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, fuck me.
And also, they underestimate like the sheer psychological impact of their splendor.
Oh yeah.
Like during the Napoleonic Age, the Gardes du Cheval, these the biggest men in the army, in shining breastplates, tall horsehair comb helmets, wielding these long polished sabers, coming down at you with a solid fucking wall.
Terrifying. And like you can watch like the British Army, they still have like shows with horses, where you've got the cavalrymen with sabers chopping melons and stuff like that. And you can go on YouTube and watch a video. You can hear the ground rumbling from these horses coming in, and then we've got like a dozen horses. It's like, holy shit! If you had like 5,000-6,000 of these horses packed together with shining armor and lances coming out, with this weird whistling coming above it, and then the ground just shaking under your feet, fuck. The worst time to be an infantryman.
And some of the biggest countercharge things also at Napoleonic armies under Murat. Oh my god, the fucking size of it. Like you have portraits where you just see these massive columns of cavalry just stretching into the horizon.
Yeah. It's really hard to imagine these days.
And the ridiculousness of it, horses are actually shit at modern warfare. Modern-ish, because horses are intelligent. Like, this is the thing that people keep bringing up. But let me just tell you, right now, horses do not charge pointy sticks. They don't. I don't care how well trained it is. The Napoleonic cavalry, some of the most well-trained cavalry in the world, the heavy cavalry of the medieval ages, some of the most heavily armored cavalry in the world, they don't charge spears. You might be able to trick a horse. Indeed, in the Napoleonic age, they would form a column. The idea was that the guys on the outside would try and steer their horses in, thereby forming the column together. And that would try to break through the infantry square. Even that rarely fucking works.
Well, this was the problem that William the Conqueror had with the Saxons at Hastings. They like the shield wall looks like a solid.
Looks like a solid
object.
object.
Yeah, it's an object to the horse, and so they had to ride up and just throw spears into it rather than actually try and charge through it because the horse just didn't want to do it. Unsurprisingly, the horse said, "Well, what's in it for me?" It's a question, not much, but it's interesting. And this was the thing about the psychological effect of horses. If the infantry held, they would be fine.
Yeah.
The difficulty was getting the infantry to hold because, my God, it's the most terrifying thing in the world coming at you. And it's the same with like elephants and stuff like that. People think the elephants were just to smash through the lines. It wasn't really like that, And you like at Zama, Scipio he made his infantry just split into columns, and so the elephants would just walk through the middle because that was just easier for the elephants.
It was easier.
Yeah.
And elephants are far more aggressive animals than horses.
Oh, yeah.
You can actually bully them into attacking people.
Get them drunk.
Yeah.
Make them
Even
drink
then,
wine.
if the infantry just steps aside, what's the elephant going to do? Is he going to go through the formation of people throwing pointy objects at it, peelers, or is he just going to wander through the opening?
Yeah, they seem to forget that the elephant doesn't have a personal grudge against the Romans. You know? It's like, oh, I hate Romans so much. No, the elephant just doesn't even want to be there. You know, no matter how drunk and belligerent it is, it would rather leave.
Elephant just wants to go home.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, these things are often, just way more a psychological factor. And people don't realise that.
Yeah.
But anyway, so Pike and shot for the new Creative Assembly game. I'm not horrified by it. I think it's a fine idea. I would like it. But I would really like it if they would stop trying to simplify their fucking games.
Oh, that's I don't think that's going to happen, honestly, because again, Rome 2, very optimistic.
Arcadey?
Yeah,
I find it arcadey.
Arcadey sometimes, but it was very. What's the word I'm looking for again now? I've forgotten how to speak English.
I don't know. It's not your first time.
It was very big. It tried to be really big.
Yeah.
Like the Senate, where they were like, "Oh, you're gonna have to actually lead up to Senate. They're gonna have their own agendas." Of course they do. It was the most retarded algorithm in the history of fucking games. It was literally just they all hated your breakpoint Civil War. But at least they tried.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, I didn't mind the provincial system either, but I mean, it was so strange having like the provinces were just arbitrary. That was the problem. It wasn't, okay, so you own two cities under Rome's control and one city is under Carthage's control. And if Carthage does something that affects the morale in your cities,
that's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's so silly. It's like.
You're at war with Carthage. Carthage gets the city burned by the Numidians or whatever, and your people are like, oh!
Yeah, no, why? Jesus. It's irrational.
But again, that was them trying to be relatively complex.
Yeah,
Bit them in the fucking arse.
Yeah.
Then, Warhammer 1, the simplest Total War game they ever made, massive success. What do you think that tells them?
Well, yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? And this is the thing that really pissed me off is you should be doing interviews with Total War players. You should have thousands and thousands of interviews with people who have been, I've been playing Total War for 10 years. Actually, no, I've been playing Total War for like 17 years. And it's, why have I been playing it this long? I mean, I'm still running a medieval campaign on the channel this is going to go on, just because I liked the fucking game, and now I'm playing as the Egyptians, just for the fun of it. Why am I still playing that game?
Exactly.
Why am I playing a game that's like 10 years old? Why are people watching it? Like 30,000 people watch that. Why does 30,000 people watch me playing this goddamn video game that's 10 years old? I should get in contact with you. Look, let me help you, please, and stop blacklisting Arch.
Again, just want to point out, I don't know if I'm blacklisting. I'm just saying it fit with the information and the.
I would assume.
I don't want to be, saying anything.
I mean, how many subscribers is your channel got?
14,000.
Yeah. See, I mean, you've had like good, consistent growth. And how many did they have when they last spoke to you?
10.
There we go. So if I refuse to believe it's not that you've been quietly shoved aside. If you're 10 times bigger now, they've just still got no interest in talking to you. But I was genuinely annoyed because the old Creative Assembly games felt like works of passion projects.
Yeah, they did. They
really felt like the people involved really cared. But after watching the build-up to Rome 2, I thought the people involved were just corporate shills. Who were just like... They were just giving a corporate line.
And some of them had no compunctions about lying. Like the infamous AI directors, this is the best AI ever.
Yeah, no, it's not.
It couldn't even attack you on launch.
Yeah.
They would run up, turn around, and run fucking back down.
Yeah.
You lying son of a bitch.
And the thing is, what annoys me the most is if you look at the modding community, stainless steel is some of the best AI in any Total War. I have actually been legitimately outflanked and surrounded by stainless steel's AI. And it's like, and I didn't even see it coming. And I was just like, holy shit, the AI has just gotten over me. It was my own fault because I just assumed Total War AI. Why would I worry about being outflanked and maneuvered? Outmaneuvered. Why would I worry about that? I wouldn't. And suddenly, when I'm sitting there going, crap, I should have held something in reserve. I mean, I was genuinely enjoying my experience playing Total War, and I was enjoying being surprised by the AI. Why not hire some of those people?
I think they did hire the Stainless Steel guy.
Did they?
Yeah, I think they did.
Shit. So what happened?
Bad shit.
Oh.
That was Rome. Rome too. So.
Oh, okay. So what did happen?
I have no idea.
So
I
assume he
also
just got
played
cut.
Stainless Steel.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not sure.
I assume that he was like, look, we should do this, and they were like, no.
I don't know precisely what role he had. I heard somewhere that he indeed was the guy that made the videos, the AI director.
Right, okay.
I'm not sure. It's
sure
just
that's
something I read somewhere on
Right,
a
okay.
forum ages ago, so I don't know.
Yeah, I wouldn't. I'd have to check.
Yeah, I just like don't know, but they did hire him, didn't work out. Darth Mod is another guy.
Yeah.
Who they should have fired, they didn't hired English. They didn't, and he went on to make the Ultimate General series, which is really good. Who'd you played it?
I haven't played that one, but I'm aware of it.
Oh, it's really good.
Same with Darth Mod. I'm aware of it, but I was too busy playing Stainless Steel.
Yes. No, like Ultimate General Civil War shows you that the AI can do smart things.
Right, okay.
It still has some bugs because at the end of the day, we don't have artificial intelligence.
Yeah,
we have scripts.
Yeah, but that's the thing. You know, I don't actually expect that much from it. You know, but I do expect some sort of basic functionality, which is not what we got with 2. So yeah, I'm forgiving when it comes to that. But that was the thing that surprised me about the Stainless Steel AI. It was genuinely all right. You know, and that's a huge step up from the basic AI that comes to the game. So.
And it's also the modding tools. This is what I fucking hate about
Oh.
CA now. They've been cutting down on modding tools. No! Modding tools make your game so much better. I mean, look at Medieval 2. There's a fucking full-on Lord of the Rings mod, and it's great.
No, it wasn't shit. Get fucked. The Lord of the Rings mod was terrible. I was so pissed off about it. Like, I mean, one of the things that really annoyed me is making units unbreakable. No, get fucked. I mean, I literally had to go through all of the scripts myself and just turning off the unbreakable bit and then toning them down as well. It was like, but these are not like Nazi Aryans, they're elves, you know? And no, they're not unbreakable, they're just good. You know, I hate the unbreakable.
Alright, the elves were maybe a tiny bit OP.
The dwarves had it as well.
I still like the mod. I really like
it was gorgeous, don't get me wrong.
And also just imagine that from a technological perspective.
Yeah.
God, the modding tools are so much more powerful. These days, I mean, we can't even add in custom 3D objects anymore.
Really?
Yeah, people who want to make new units have to take existing assets like torsos, arms, etc., and then put them together in new fashions.
Oh, fucking hell.
There's a World War I mod for, I think it's Empire or Napoleon, I'm not sure which. They tried to make the German Pickelhaube. They couldn't do it. So instead they had to take, I think it was a Pike or something, and kind of stick that in his head to get the Pickelhaube.
Why would they prevent people from being able to import their own models? Because this was one of the things...
The simple answer is they don't want the competition. They want to sell DLC, especially in Warhammer. They want to sell you the Wood Elves, they want to sell you the Beastmen. And the thing is, people would do this.
No,
and even more in Napoleon, they want to sell you the DLC. In Napoleon, if you gave people proper modding tools, there would be everything. There would be proper historical French guard. They would have the exact correct number of buttons, it would be good.
Yeah.
There would be hundreds of them. So they stopped you from doing that, so they could sell you the goddamn fucking units. It's fucking douchebaggy, and I wish CA would just go, hey, we're a multi-million-dollar company. We can outcompete some fucker in his bedroom.
And if you can't...
Maybe you should just fuck off.
Yeah, exactly. If you can't, maybe you should reevaluate yourselves. Because, and that's the thing, I honestly think that they get to the point where they feel that they can't compete. And it's like, okay, that's great, but, you know, I mean, you are selling them the basic platform on which they're modeled. So, I mean, you could... Why don't you sponsor them? Like Ark Survival Evolved have started doing this, where they're like, you know, selling mods, you know, they're hiring the modding teams and then selling the work that they're doing. Because it's good work, and I don't even mind paying for it. You know, I don't mind paying a couple of quid to get a mod that's an amazing mod. You know, I've got no compunction with this at all.
Think of the advantage in Ark. They've made 2 whole new maps, and they're massive and good.
Yeah.
And Wildcard spent pennies on this compared to what they need to.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. These people have all done the work for free, and you can just, you know, purchase it and give them a percentage of the profits. It's a win-win for everyone. And the thing is as well, like, the problem with modding is quality. You never know what the quality is going to be like until you've got it and you've tested it out. And that's your time. You're investing in it. Sometimes it's a pain in the ass to install a mod or something like that. So it's the time and effort to get all this up and running, and then suddenly you play it for a few hours and you realise it's kind of shit. If it's something that has been, say, officially sanctioned by the company who made the original game, you can assume that there's going to be a standard of quality there that you don't have to worry about.
Yeah.
You can look, right, yeah, that's the mod I like the look of. Since CA are backing it, yeah, I can expect that to be a good quality mod.
Yeah.
They wouldn't have picked that one out of all of them if it wasn't a good quality mod. At the moment, we've just got to do it on popularity, but even then, that's no guarantee.
That's no guarantee.
So, yeah.
I do hope that it continues to be like that. The mod is first rate though, because I don't like the Bethesda idea.
Go on, tell me about that.
Bethesda trying to monetize mods back a while ago.
Fallout
Didn't work.
3.
No, in Skyrim.
Oh,
Didn't work. They got absolutely butchered.
why is that?
Because they were trying to monetize already existing mods and making people pay for it, and unsurprisingly, people didn't want to pay for something they'd been getting for free. They've now launched a new idea, that's the Creators Program, where people will have to give them pitches, basically, send them pitches, and if the guys over at the first headquarters think it sounds good, and the guy has a proven track record, so he essentially has to send them a CV, they will then pay him to create the mod. Now, in theory, that sounds fine, until you realize that, okay, now people are going to try and pitch mods specifically to be acceptable by Bethesda.
Yeah, it's the gatekeeping aspect I don't like.
Yeah, and I also don't like the fact that Bethesda is going to be paying them directly as a employer, because this might be me being overly skeptical and cynical, but as someone who has been doing business for a while, I know there's a lot of fucking shady people. You will essentially be working as a non-employee on a contract, the terms of which in almost all certainty will be entirely decided by Bethesda. If they wanted to, they could fuck the shit out of you. They could pay you virtually nothing, demand you meet ridiculous deadlines. Hell, they could even throw in a fucking punishment if they so wished if you don't meet it. It's just like, I want to trust Bethesda, but...
Yeah, no, I don't like the gatekeeping aspect of it either, because the great thing about modding is someone will say, a few people will form a team around a certain core concept, and if it's a good concept, people flock to it.
Yeah.
And it doesn't really matter whether Bethesda or Creative Assembly or whoever like the concept. It's irrelevant. We don't want them to like the concept. It's not their business to like the concept. And if literally going to them and saying, well, look, we've got a really popular concept, if they say no, we don't like it, okay, well, don't worry about it. It was only a really popular concept. Lots of people were into it. Would have been a good addition to the game.
There's something about the organic growth of the modding community, in my opinion.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And that's why I think Studio Wildcard have done the best thing with Arch, which is pick the successful ones and then offer them as proper DLC. And I realise, now I'm paying for something I was getting free. But I assume that they're giving them extra money and resources to do extra things to build their mod up, and then presenting it as DLC. I don't mind paying a couple of quid for a mod. I personally don't mind. I'm sure there are a lot of other people like, well, okay, I can pay a couple of quid. As long as you're not taking the piss, I don't mind.
And hell, give us the option, okay? Leave the old mod, update it, make it compatible, make that free. And then you make just a better version.
Yeah.
Because the thing is, people are willing to pay for a better version. We know this.
Well, this is something that, this is what drives me crazy with piracy. Well, I say problem, but piracy isn't a problem. They don't seem to understand. Piracy isn't hurting sales, right? Piracy is mostly people who want to try it as a demo. That's mostly what it is. I mean, for example, and with movies, I don't pirate movies I want to see. I go to the cinema. If it's a movie I'm not going to go to the cinema for and I'm not going to pay for, I might pirate it because see if it was any good, see if it was worthwhile, and if it was good, I might buy the DVD of it, something so I might actually want it. But I'm not gonna pay money for something that I think looks kind of shit. And so I'm just gonna be like, nah, fuck it. I might pirate it to see if it is a shit or it might actually be good, but I'm not gonna pay for that. But if something, and this is the thing with video games as well. Like, I would rather have all of the games on Steam. It's a lot more convenient for me. I can install them anywhere, but I'd rather buy them. But if it's a game, Steam's refund after 2 hours thing has been a real godsend. I think it's been really, really useful.
Yeah,
because before that, I would have to pirate the game, see what it was like, see if I liked it. And the thing is, you can't tell whether you're going to like something by just watching a video. You know, you can't tell how it feels. You can't tell like what just the mechanics of it. So it's important. And for some reason, companies don't put out demos anymore. Why don't they put out demos anymore?
I don't know.
Honestly, when I was a kid, I used to love getting like PC Gamers to get a disc on the front, a bunch of demos. Nail all of this. You know, see if I can actually get any of these things. What do you think?
I don't know. It's just the concept of demo just seems. I mean, I'm sure it's a little bit of extra work. I'm sure of that. Obviously, you're gonna have to have somebody produce it, but
and it absolutely is. I mean, I've developed like betas of games, and you would have to like you take a copy of your project, and you'd have to put a beginning and end to the part that you want to demo. Fine, but okay, do it. Just get on. Like for example, there was someone sent me a Kickstarter of the game the other day. That was based on it was based in philosophy, but the game itself was it was a proper game. I can't remember if it was an adventure or strategy game, but it looked really interesting. And but I was like, look, I would be happy to do a video about this and promote it because it looks interesting. And it was the sort of thing nowhere in their right mind was going to give it any attention. Not because it looked bad, it looked good. It looked nice, but it was complicated. It was cerebral. It was something you actually had to put thought into. And I was like, look, I would happily promote this if I could play a demo. If I could record my own footage and say, look, I have played this myself. It's an alpha version, so obviously there are bugs. And I would be very forgiving about it. I'm very forgiving about it. But if the core gameplay was solid and the parts of the story I got seemed good, I would have happily promoted that and said, look, I've played this, and so I could say. And so I can put my reputation on it. I can say, look, I've played this, I'm confident about it. Obviously, they're not paying any money because they're looking for money. And that was the thing, I don't mind doing these things for free. I would never allow people to pay me to do them. But the thing is, they couldn't send me a demo in time for the end of the Kickstarter. I was like, well, you should have had that planned. You should have had a demo on the Kickstarter. So anyone looking at the Kickstarter could have clicked there and downloaded the demo.
For me, I like to still stay a little optimistic for a lot of this.
Well,
I try to. And there are some really interesting projects out there.
Yeah.
Like, there's a bunch of people that's trying to make a Company of Heroes style game, Iron Harvest, which looks really good.
Right.
Company of Heroes with mechs.
Oh, you sent me that. Yeah, that does look interesting.
It does look cool.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, it doesn't have much to show, so I'm just like, okay, please be good. Please be fucking good.
Oh, I say that. Have you seen there's a turn-based Battletech game coming?
Yes, I played that.
Have you played it?
Yes.
Right, okay, so, I mean, it's not out yet.
No, but there is a backer beta which you can purchase into for, I don't remember how much.
Right, okay. Has it got a multiplayer or is it just single?
I don't think it has multiplayer yet. I haven't played it for a while, so they might have added it in, but...
Right, okay. Because I saw, I think it was Sid Alpha's channel, and it was just a great-looking Battletech game. It looked like the board game.
Yeah,
and I was just like, okay. I mean, I used to love the Battletech board game. I was like, right, okay. I'm very interested. I want this game. So you'll have to send me a link for this. I definitely want to get it. Especially if it ends up in multiplayer, which I'm sure it did say it was going to have.
Yes, it's going to have multiplayer and it's going to have a full campaign. So
excellent. Cool. Because I mean, I'm a big fan of Battletech. So
I think it's cool. A universe that died far too early.
Yeah, and I don't even know why. And the games for Battletech have always been solid. I mean, how can you go wrong with giant mechs shooting each other?
I don't know. There was just stuff just dies, right? Occasionally.
But it's nice to see it being resurrected, especially in I just don't play enough good turn-based strategy anymore.
No, I'm so sad it barely exists.
Yeah,
it's just turn-based strategy.
One of my favourite genres.
I mean, the old fucking Panzer General games are still some of my favourite games.
Yeah.
There was a recent adaptation called Panzer Corps, which I quite like. It didn't quite recapture the magic, in my opinion, but that partially probably also nostalgia. Yeah. But turn-based strategy is just not really a thing.
The UFO, the new XCOM game that came out, I was really pissed off.
XCOM or Xenonauts?
The new one. You could have like 6 units.
Oh yeah, XCOM.
Yeah,
probably.
and oh man, I used to love UFO anime. It was amazing. And one of the things I loved about it is that the aliens were scary. As in, you could have dozens of people, on your Avenger, and you would land, and you would have to get all of these guys out, and you felt like a big squad. And then there were a couple of aliens around, and they would pick you off. And it wasn't like, I don't know, you weren't an elite team. You were going against an elite team, and they were mysterious and strange, and it was a really exciting dynamic. But in this new XCOM, you can have 6 men or something like that. I'm like, why?
Yeah.
You're missing the point.
The problem is XCOM wants to have that same feeling. Like, oh, you should be attached to your troopers, but I only have fucking 6 of them.
Yeah.
And the game gets so rapidly, progressively harder, you have to have an elite team.
Yeah. And that's the thing. I don't mind losing team members. I mean, you would end up with a sort of like core unit of about 6 people who were genuinely good soldiers. You'd spent the time boosting their stats. You'd have a couple of good psionics in there, and then you would have to have the sort of like peripheral red shirts who would have to you would put them out first, and yes, they'd get shot, and that's fine. It was an interesting dynamic to the game, but they completely failed to understand what made it a fun game, and it really pissed me off.
You should try Xenonauts.
Yeah.
It's closer to the original experience.
Right, okay.
They're making a Xenonauts 2 now.
Right.
And also, what was the name? I think it was Project Penumbra or something.
Rings bells, but I've not seen it.
It's an XCOM style game, but it's got a little bit of more horror elements in it.
Right.
It's kind of like Enemies in the Deep.
Oh yeah, Enemy from the Deep.
Yes. I don't remember the exact title, but
yeah, but I thought that was going to be shit when it first came out, and after playing UFO, I'm a huge fan of UFO. After playing UFO, I looked at it and thought, oh, it's blank. But I actually really enjoyed it. I didn't expect I would. But it was.
Penumbra looks good. It's got a little bit more of that horror aspect, because the monsters are like these sea monsters, and they generally look gnarly. And again, the usual promises, but they say they'll actually evolve to your strategies. If you use a lot of projectile weapons, they might grow hardening shells, for example.
Right, okay.
Again, we've been promised this before. Might be bullshit, but I like the idea.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a good idea. We'll have to see how it plays. Anyway, we should probably go in and wander around and
yes,
see what's going on. So, take it easy, everyone.